we're going to go ahead and jump into it. We're talking about The Crow, the 1994 classic starring Brandon Lee, the late Brandon Lee. Now, I mean, I think most of you know about the behind-the-scenes stuff that happened with this film. I mean, it's weird initially. The filmmakers, like their original pitch for this movie, it was going to be a musical, and they wanted Michael Jackson to star as the titular character, the Crow. What's his name again? Eric Draven. That was the original pitch, but they eventually changed it to be hopefully be a little more of a mainstream film. Then it became like then they used kind of the example of Batman, which had come out about only 5 years prior to this chat. They used that as kind of a guide, I think, to tell a titular superhero revenge story. I've never seen The Crow 2 generally. This is the only film in the series that I've ever seen. I've never even looked at any of the trailers. How many Crow films are there? I know it's a franchise, but I think they made a sequel and it was a theatrical release, but all the other ones went straight to DVD, I believe. Yeah, they did The City of Angels, Salvation, and Wicked Prayer. I don't know. It's the same person. I know it's not the same actor, obviously, but is it Eric Draven who's doing it? I don't think so. I think it's like a different person each time, right? Yeah. I think it's a different person each time. Unless I'm mistaken. There are 4 of them. There are 4. Oh, okay. Interesting. Yes. But no, I'm only familiar with the original film. I know that some of the characters from the first film are featured in some of the sequels. I believe the character of Sarah, the little girl, she's in the sequel. I'm saying that because I'm reading on Wikipedia right now. But, of course, the big behind-the-scenes thing that happened with this movie is that the actor, Brandon Lee, he was killed during the making of it accidentally. Apparently, there was a issue with some of the prop guns. They weren't using the right equipment for it, and he was actually shot. And then after like 6 hours of surgery, they could not save him. And the film, Ingenuity, thank you so much for your generous I can't talk today. Subscriptions, thank you, man. Thank you for subbing. For the gifted subs in particular to Duma and Flashman. Congratulations, guys. You're now the proud owners of 5 different emotes, including Mr. Evan Yang, Mr. Evan Hype, Mr. Evan Low, Mr. Evan Rage, and Mr. Evan Derp, which is used the most often. Yeah. Thank you so much, man. Welcome to the Rev Nights again, guys. But, so Brandon Lee, he passed away. The film is dedicated in his honor and also his fiancée of the time, Eliza. I don't remember her last name, but just fiancée Eliza. I don't think she wanted to give her last name for the film. So, there's a lot of sadness kind of surrounding this movie. Now, when it came out, though, it was a bit of a hit. A production budget of $23 million, a box office of 50.7, so it was like a minor hit. It's since gone on to cult status for years, growing popularity. I mean, that popularity spawned multiple sequels, although to much less critical praise. But still, this original movie was very influential. I'll tell you right now, guys, like this movie honestly reminded me of Sin City a lot. Aesthetically, I mean, not to the point where it resembled like the black and white comic, but you could tell just the backgrounds and in this version of the city, which is an unnamed city. I don't think they. Oh no, it's in Detroit. Never mind. No, it's in Detroit. I was wrong. The first sentence, chat on October 30th, Devil's Night in Detroit. I was like, okay, there you go. But I saw a lot of the film Sin City's influence taking from The Crow. I just kind of felt. I don't know if you guys felt the same way. Here's a question for you before we begin. How many of you guys have seen The Crow, and what are your general thoughts on the film? I'm actually kind of curious about it. So he would go on the direct Dark City, yeah, because it's Alex Proyas, right? And he's done a number of films, probably the most recently, Gods of Egypt. But he's done stuff like I, Robot, which I enjoyed. But that was fun. It was nothing like the original book, but still was a fun action film. He also did a Nicolas Cage film, Knowing, which is pretty goofy. But the guy's been working for quite a while. Yeah, it's pretty much what he's done. He's done The Crow, Dark City, Garage Days, I, Robot, Knowing, and Gods of Egypt. That's pretty much his entire career. And he's done a lot of short films. Maybe he's a producer on things. I don't know. Yes. Yeah, Gods of fucking Egypt. That's correct. I've seen the last 30 minutes in bits and pieces. That's pretty much how I seen it. Like I always saw how the main villain died in the film. Yeah, very sporadic movie career. Coco Chops, good. Welcome, Coco Chops. Good to see you. I've seen it a couple times. A friend of mine was obsessed with it. A lot of people were. It spoke to a lot of people. I really do think. I mean, this came out in the '90s at the height of the punk rock, the grunge scene. With this, you see like all that stuff is in the background, like all the clubs. Yeah, they're playing that type of music. Just the aesthetic overall, the character of Eric Draven, the Crow. I mean, he was a musician who was murdered. I mean, he did punk rock, he did grunge music. So I was like, okay, I could see why this would speak to a number of people, especially at the time. Yeah. The Gods of Egypt, maybe someday. I'm gonna need a break after The Last Airbender. Maybe a little time to recover from that. Yes. But some people are saying a masterpiece. Who's saying this is a masterpiece? Arsenic. All right, fair enough. So a lot of people do enjoy this movie. The bad guy in The Crow would go on to voice Death and Darkstar. I thought that's what the same guy. That guy's been around forever. He does a lot of voice acting. He looks very. Who is that guy, Chad? I'm actually curious about that because I've seen him. I feel like in so much stuff. What the hell is his name again? Oh God, I don't remember what his name is. His name is Top Dollar? Jesus. I watched this film, chat, and I did not catch that his name was Top Dollar. Michael Wincott, 62. Yeah, he's done a lot of movies. Yeah, he's very much a working man's actor here. He was in Ghost in the Shell. Oh, okay. He's been in for quite a few things. Oh, good for him. Good for him, chat. Yep, does a lot of video games. Did Treasure Planet, Halo 2, Narc Syndicate, most recently Darksiders 2 as Death. That's correct. Yeah. But guys, let me set the mood for you. It is October 30th, Devil's Night in Detroit. A whole lot of places are burning. A whole lot of people have been murdered. We find the crime scene, chat. Eric Draven's been fucking, just tossed out of his 6-story apartment, laying on the ground, fucking glass shards in his body. He's pronounced dead on the scene. We're following Detective Winston from Ghostbusters, chat. I know his name is Ernie Hudson, but I'm going to call him Detective Winston because that's what he's best known for. I'm sorry, but that's just the truth. So Detective Winston, he's up there. He's surveying the crime scene. He sees that the woman, the girlfriend, Shelly, the girlfriend of Eric Draven, she's still alive, chat, but she doesn't have much time. It's not looking good. They get her up there. He's talking to the detective, and they're saying, yeah, it looks like some gang violence. Or maybe it was done on purpose. We don't know. Maybe this was planned all along. We'll see. We'll find out towards the end of the movie, chat, that it was, in fact, planned all along. So they're bringing Shelly down the stairs, chat. It's not looking fucking good. Apparently, she's been repeatedly raped, brutalized, beaten. It's not looking good. Meanwhile, we meet the character Sarah, who's this little street urchin child. She apparently is very good friends of Eric Draven and Sarah. She's incredibly sad. Pretty much not really her mother figure. She has a mother in this movie, chat. We'll get to her. She's terrible. But her mother figure, her idol, Shelly, and her other idol, other idol's fucking dead. But her other idol doesn't look too good, might not be long for this world. And then Detective Winston says, don't worry, Sarah. She's going to be okay. But then Sarah knows, you're lying, aren't you? And he's like, yeah, kind of. And then we cut a year later, chat. A year later, we get a whole bunch of exposition and narration by Sarah. She narrates the movie. She does the whole thing talking about souls. Apparently, chat, I did not know about this. A crow will guide a soul onto the next life, but sometimes that crow will struggle because of the sadness surrounding that soul's life and the death of that soul. But then there's a third thing, chat, an even worse thing. Well, apparently, if that soul is just so sad and has been wronged, it is then imbued with its soul to come back and seek vengeance against those who have harmed that soul and its loved ones. And there we are, chat. We're at the goddamn graveyard of Shelly and Eric Draven, and lo and behold, we see that crow, and it's just pecking away on the tombstone, chat, and this thing just fucking opens up, and out walks Eric Draven, chat, and he's not looking too good. It's been a rough life, or lack of life for him, and he's just stumbling around. Meanwhile, the city of Detroit has never looked worse. I mean, RoboCop did not do his goddamn job because now it's just constantly raining. Everywhere it's covered in trash. I just don't, it's just disgusting. Like, anyone who lived there would probably have a life expectancy of maybe 40 years old, and then that would be it. Actually, matter of fact, there probably should be a whole bunch of crow-type figures running around seeking vengeance and shit. Eric Draven shouldn't have been the first one. But, chat, we follow this guy, and he's just, walking around the city. He's getting all these flashbacks. But he's being led to his apartment by this crow. He's like, I don't know what the hell this is, but he's getting all these flashbacks of his murder, of Shelley's murder, all this violence around the city that's been happening. We also cut back and forth between the original 4 schmucks that killed him, and they're just out partying, chat, just being pieces of shit. They're doing weird stuff too, because they're just like swallowing bullets and then just taking shots. I'm like, that's not going to be good for your tummy. You're going to have a very upset stomach later on. Be literally shitting lead. That won't be good. And then while Draven is experiencing all these horrific visions, the Crows lead, and we're introduced to a couple other characters, chat. We're introduced to Winston the cop. Apparently he's been, because of how he handled the previous case, he was just so obsessed with the murder of Eric Draven and his girlfriend Shelley. They demote him. He's like, forget it. It's an unsolved case. And he has some sort of relationship with the character Sarah a year later. He's just trying to take care of her because her mom, she's a skank, chat. The mom's a skank. She's working at the bar that those 4 evil schmucks who murdered Shelley are drinking at. And, she doesn't give a damn. She's just there to make money, do drugs, and bang one of those other guys. We'll get to that in a bit. But so we're establishing the characters so far. The Crow finally does leave Eric Draven to his apartment, and he pretty much just reenacts the murder, like what happened to him, like actually physically, like, acting like he got shot and like falling down and stuff like that. He's having a vision of sorts, chat, like a physical vision. And then at one point, when he kind of experiences getting knocked out of the 6-story window, he grabs on it like a fucking gymnast and realizes, I have powers! Because he sees that the marks on his hand where he touched the glass, where he cut him, they miraculously heal. He's like, holy shit, I know what I must do. This crow has imbued me with purpose. I'm going to go out and murder the 4 schmucks that killed me and Sarah. And that's what he does, chat. Now we're introduced to one of the characters, Tim Tam, I believe it is, or Tim Tim. I don't remember. It's Tim Tam or Tim Tim. And he's talking to the bald guy that we've practically seen in every film from 1985 to like the late 90s. The fat bald one? We all know who we're talking about. I forget his name. But you've seen this actor. You've seen this actor so many times. Oh, it's driving me crazy. What's his name? Is it Mickey? I believe it's... Please be Mickey. It's not Mickey. I have no idea. I don't know. But you've seen this guy before, Chad. He's the fat bald guy. And he's talking with Tim Tam. Apparently, Tim Tam, he was robbing people. Tim Tam, don't give a damn. He don't give a damn, Mr. Lowry. He's selling some ill-gotten goods to the pawn shop owner. Pawn shop owner's like, he doesn't give a shit. He's like, just give me as much gold and jewels and stuff as you can. I don't give a shit if you murder someone. Just give me the good stuff and I'll pay it. But he doesn't pay him much, chat. And Tim Tam's pretty upset about that. So he leaves and he's wandering the city. Meanwhile, the Crow, as I told you about, who resurrected the sad soul of Eric Draven, he's following Tim Tam. Oh, also, Eric Draven changed his whole lookout. As we all know, chat, he was a musician in his previous life. And so he just has these fucking leather pants and black shirts and everything and a whole bunch of makeup. He just covers his face. Does a little mime clown X thing. I felt, I don't know what yet, but I wonder, maybe it's just because of the makeup and just the general look of his face, but he really did remind me of Heath Ledger. And I wonder if Heath Ledger partially borrowed a lot of the stuff that Brandon Lee did in this film for his take on the Joker, just the way he moved. Because again, like Brandon Lee, he's very slim in this. Is there something about the way he carried him that he carried himself that like, I kind of see that in Ledger's performance as a Joker. I might be reading too much into it. Maybe it's the makeup. I was like, I see something, and also the long hair. Is there something about it? Yeah, it could have been. Yeah, it might be just a coincidence. Yeah, but. And so he's decked out now. He has become the Crow, chat, and he's seeking vengeance. And so good old Tim Tam, he's not good, actually. He's just out there trying to light a cigarette on one of those, barrels that have all the fire. Terrible for the environment, by the way, because all the hot metal and things. It's not great. And then, out of the darkness, out of the shadow, like fucking Batman, because this movie takes a lot from Tim Burton's Batman and just Batman comics in general, out walks the Crow. And Tim Tam is like, who the hell are you dressing up for Halloween? You're a couple days early. But, the Crow's not having it, chat. And he's like, do you know who Shelley was? I don't know who Shelley was, but He knows, Jerry remembers. And they get to wrestling, chat. And Tim Tam, he shoots the crow, and of course nothing happens. He's like, holy shit, you're immortal. That's weird. And they get in more of a wrestling match, chat. Knives come out, because Tim Tam, his big thing, he loves to use knives. And he never misses, apparently. He's like Bullseye in that way. But he's throwing his knives at the crow, and they're all missing. So he's not like Bullseye, chat. Not at all. And then he's missing fucking Brandon Lee. He catches one of the knives like this. Oh, cool. And then just BAM! And it's all in the reflexes, chat, as we know. Speaking back to the great Jack Burton and Big Trouble in Little China, it's all in the reflexes. So he catches knife, throws it right back at Tim Tam, gets him in his right-hand shoulder. And doesn't look good. Pinned to like this wooden thing. And then the crow starts interrogating him, chat. And you know he's going to be using all of Tim Tam's knives. And later, chat, he learns the location of the rest of Tim Tam's other guys that murdered Shelley. And we arrive on the crime scene. Apparently, Tim Tam has just been stabbed to death. At least 6 or 7 knives just all inside his chest and tummy. Tim Tam did not have a good time whatsoever. It's not like, damn, bro, the stream's popping up. Yay! Just Ricky, welcome to the stream. Good to see you. Generally, the Crow is a good companion piece of the Punisher, the 2004 version, not the 1989 version. I think this is better than the 2004 Punisher. I don't hate that movie, but I think this is better than that one. Really, what held back the Punisher wasn't even oh god, I forget the actor's name. But the person who played the Punisher, I thought, did a great job. It was all the other stuff kind of surrounding him to a certain degree. I thought John Travolta's character was just so goofy, you know. Howard Saint was the villain in that film. But the actor who played the Punisher, Thomas Jane, thank you, Chris Sears. Thomas Jane did a great job, in my opinion. And the Crow is, so far I'm liking the Crow, just Rick. I'm not speaking ill of the Crow right now. So Tim Tam, he's got knives. He's got like in his tummy and his chest. Fucking Detective Winston, he's on the scene. He sees all this. He's like, oh, this doesn't look like ordinary gang violence to me. It looks like someone targeted Tim Tam. Out walks this cop, which I guess he was in the beginning of the film. I don't remember him. I think he's the one that eventually got Detective Winston demoted, chat. And he's like, it's just gang violence. You don't know what the fuck you're talking about. Leave it alone, Detective Winston. And Winston's like, all right, fuck, whatever. Okay, I'm just going to go. But I think there's something afoot. Meanwhile, chat, we cut back to the character actor, which you've seen from every film from 1985 to about 1999, the fat pawn shop owner. He's closing up today. He's counting his ill-gotten money. Nah, look at all the money. He's all happy about it. But then, chat, in the front of his store, you see his outline. Chat, it's the Crow, and he's like, "Get the fuck out of here! It's closed." But the Crow's like, "No." And he opens up the shop. Chat, I don't know how he does it. Maybe he has super strength. I'm not sure. So he opens up the shop. He walks in. The fat pawn shop owner, he fucking freaks out, and the Crow's like, then he does his fucking Batman, because he looks away like to grab his gun, and then the Crow is gone. He's like, oh, what happened? And he's hanging from the ceiling. The next time we see him, and just talking shit. He eventually beats the shit out of the pawn shop owner, grabs his shotgun, chat, takes a knife, and just Tim Tam's knife, I believe, and stabs it and grinds it in the hand of the fat pawn shop owner. He's screaming, and then the Crow's just interrogating him at this point. It's like, a year ago, a man named Tim Tam came here and sold you a ring. It's a very particular ring. Do you have it? And the guy's like, I don't know. And then he starts grinding, like, grind the knife. It's hat. The tendons and the nerves in his hand are ruined, chat. Probably only have about 50% functionality after this little event here, unless he gets to a hospital very quickly. But it's not looking good for the fat pawn shop owner's hand at this point. He's like, I keep my rings in this little box in the back. And the Crow, he goes back there, chat, and he just knows the ring so well, because he got it for Shelley. It was, and he just knows it by the touch, and he's just, kind of disrespectful to a certain degree. He's opening up the thing, and he just looks at the rings. Eventually, he's just throwing them out, because he just knows the feel of it until he lands on the one. And then he has other flashbacks of Shelley and him, and they're just schmooching the whole time, chat, and good sexy times. Sarah, she walks in, he's like, oh, Sarah, we can't do smooching, and they're all like a little happy family. It's wonderful. It's wonderful. I got a message. I received a message, chat. I need a second. Hold on. Okay. It was not Corey. It was not Corey. All right. Is that Richard Benjamin Harrison? Richard Benjamin Harrison. Is he still alive? Is that the guy? I don't think that's the guy. I don't see him listed in the credits. Let me see if it's someone else. It's John Polito. Oh, he passed away. No, passed away. 2016. Is that what it is? Is he alive? 2016. His name's, I don't know who Richard Benjamin Harrison is, but no. James Raymond Pulido. He's been in so many films. A lot of stuff for the Coen brothers. So he was active from like 1981 all the way. Damn, Chad. He has like a shit ton of credits. I mean, wow. It just keeps going. It just keeps fucking going. Like all the way to 2018 because he did stuff, posthumously. So there you go. Wow. Yeah, he did animated shows, video games, TV series. He's the definition of a working character actor. You've seen him in so many films and TV shows. Yeah, talented guy. Very talented guy. First film, let's see. His first film was Gangster Wars, which I'm not familiar with. But yes. He's beating the shit out of John Polito, Chad. He recognizes the ring. He's like, and he has all the flashbacks to Shelley. He goes up to John Polito, who's just fucking, like, Mancha takes the knife out of his hand and is wrapping up and everything. And the Crow, he's just, basically laying out, it's like, you've taken all these rings and jewels and property from other people, not caring about the violence that you caused and or inspired, you piece of shit. And while the Crow is just saying all this shit, he's managed to find all these gallons of gasoline and starts pouring it all over John Polito's store. And the guy's like, what you doing? He does that voice all the time, too. You know who he is. And, the Crow is just like, and he does something really kind of cool. He loads up all the rings into the shotgun he took, like right in the barrel. And then he's like, John Polito's like, John Polito just can't shut the fuck up. He still has to talk shit to him. He's like, you'll suck cocks in hell. She says something of that effect, chat. And then the Crow, he turns around, fucking blasts the goddamn gasoline can. But John Polito, he's running towards the exit from the behind the store. He manages to get out there, but he's blasted out, chat. Part of him's on fire. The Crow's being a bad. It's like, whoo, what a cool scene. Meanwhile, chat, we're following Detective Ernie Hudson. He arrives on the spot because he knows the kind of stuff that John Polito often pulls, taking the ill-gotten gains from all these criminals, from innocent people. And he finds the Crow, and he has a bit of a conversation. He's like, don't freeze, don't move. And then the Crow says, I thought cops said freeze. It was like, well, I'm not a typical cop. Establishing that Detective Hudson is a good guy, chat. He's not like these other coppers who are corrupt, who don't do the jobs that they're supposed to do. But they have a bit of a back and forth. And Ernie Hudson's like, you look familiar. I recognize you. I'll go, no, because Eric, the Crow does the opposite. He says, don't I look familiar to you, officer? And Detective Hudson's like, you gotta look, yeah. And then he pulls a Batman chat and he vanishes. He's like, no, where'd he go? So Detective Winston, he goes back to the police station, chat. He reopens the case file and he's like, this motherfucker is dead. But I definitely saw him. That was absolutely him. I think this is him. He's somehow back from the dead, chat, seeking vengeance against all these people. What happened at this point? Oh, now, chat, we cut back to the nightclub, and apparently Sarah's mom, the little girl, she doesn't give a damn about her daughter. She just wants to fuck and she wants to do drugs. And a matter of fact, she's banging one of the bad guys. I believe it is Fun Boy. Is it Fun Boy? Is it Fun Boy, chat? I don't know if it was Fun Boy. It was one of the other guys who has a goofy name. This guy is like long blonde hair. You'll help me out here. So they're out there trying to bang, doing drugs, chat. Heroin, I expect, just injecting it or something of that kind. The Crow, the Crow also steals a guitar from the pawn shop, and he's just playing it. Because he's a musician, chat. Very dark, emo punk music. He's just playing it, chat, as he's walking around. He then arrives at the apartment of one of the guys that killed his wife, and then he's trying to bang Sarah's mom, and he goes in there. He just starts fucking messing with him, and basically he convinces the guy just shoot my hand. He shoots his hand. And was like, oh, nothing. See, I'm immortal. He goes, holy shit, and then just starts beating the shit out of him. Chat. Sarah's mom, she runs in the bathroom trying to hide. He drags in the guy. Actually, I'm trying to figure out what happens to him in this scene. How does he die? I don't remember. Oh, I remember now. Okay, so he dragged in the bathroom, chat, fucking handcuffs him to the tub, trying to wake him up because he has questions for him. Meanwhile, he grabs Sarah's mom. He's like, oh my god, is he gonna kill her or something? Like, I didn't expect this. But no, chat, he uses his Crow powers to just to suck out all the droogs that are in her body. So you see all the marks on her arm. where she's always injecting the heroin, other drugs. It all starts leaking out. It looks gross. But then she's much better, and then she just fucking leaves. She's like, all right, I'm getting the fuck out of here. I just feel the need to go ahead and be a mother to my daughter, Sarah, chat. And she goes off. Meanwhile, we hear all about this nonsense. Then we cut, chat, to the main villain of the movie, because apparently this apartment complex or slash nightclub slash, you know, consistent rave party that's on for 24/7. It's owned by the main villain of the film, who has a very goofy name called Top Dollar. And very much like everything else, the overall aesthetic in this film kind of dresses like a goth punk rocker. Chad has this long, flowing brown hair. He's fucking his half-sister, this Asian witch. She's always talking about mysticism, chat, and she's feeding him body parts and stuff. It's a little bizarre. Their number one henchman is the Candyman, Tony Todd. It's a collection of characters in this scene, chat. I'm like, wow, I did not expect this. And they're all just meeting because they know something's afoot. Okay, so because the two surviving members, chat, the two surviving members of the gang that killed Shelley and Eric Draven, they come in and it's like, okay, listen, man, so our guys are missing. They found Tim Tam. He got stabbed in the chest and tummy. Something's not right. And he's like, all right. We're gonna figure this out. Meanwhile, chat, because they're like, okay, go get your other guy, the guy with the long blonde hair, Fun Boy, whatever the hell his name was. And so Candyman, he goes up there, chat, and he finds the body of Fun Boy, and he's just had all these needles in the same place, kind of like Tim Tam had it. All the needles just injected in his tummy and chest, chat, just filled with the droogs. And then the crow goes, bye-bye, and just fucking pulls the Batman out of there. And Candyman's like, fuck, that's not good. He goes back to Top Dollar, and he explains, yeah, there's this weird clown man that killed the guy, and so I think he's after everybody. And they're like, oh no, he's attacking my criminal enterprise. We have to find this son of a bitch. And we have to plan Devil's Night, where he burned down Detroit. It's very busy. Excuse me while I just ingest this mountain of cocaine, and I'm going to eat this woman's eyeball that my half-sister, who I also have sex with, prepared for me. So bye-bye and take care of that weird fucking shit, chat. Did not expect that, I'll be honest. Tony Todd's in the movie, chat. Yeah, very limited role, but he's having fun with it. Now, chat, I believe we cut back to Sarah, and, you know, she's just feeling sad about her whole situation. I mean, her mom's on the droogs. You know, she's just out there skateboarding. She misses Shelley and Eric Draven, so she goes back to their apartment, chat, and she finds, oh, it's Eric Draven, Shelley's cat, who somehow is alive. She says, I thought you were dead. I didn't think you'd be alive here. It's like the kid knows, chat, that something's afoot. And so, I think at one point, Eric Draven, the crow, he saves her from getting hit by a car. He grabs her, and she's like, get off your hands off me, you creep. And he's like, oh, no, I'm just here to protect you. He's like, I could have avoided that car. And yet she has this, she starts talking to him. He's like, I wish it would stop raining. And he has the iconic line, chat, well, it won't rain forever. Or it doesn't rain forever. And she's like, Eric? And it's like, it might be him, chat. And she turns around, but he's vanished. She's pulled another Batman. Then she goes back to the apartment thinking she'll find him here. And she's about to leave. It's like, I thought you'd be here. I thought you loved me. And she's about to leave. It's like, I do care about you, Shelley. I do love you. And it's him. And they have their little back and forth chat, their exchange. And he's telling her why I'm back here. Is the first person, other than Ernie Hudson, she is this, I guess she's one of the first people he tells her, like, who he is, why he's doing what he's doing. He's the most forthcoming with her. He's like, you gotta go home. You gotta protect yourself. I gotta take out these bad guys. I care about. It's a nice scene, chat. It's a very nice scene. Can't rain all the time. Thank you, Just Ricky. Thank you. Summer Baby, welcome to stream. Yeah, it was Tony Todd, Mr. Yasman. Oh. And it's a very small role, though. Darkslayer, good to see you. It's a very small role. It's like, oh, I didn't realize that was him. You know? He's got like a leather fedora on. It's like, it's weird. But anyway. So Sarah, she goes home, and she just starts playing the records of Eric Draven's band, chat. We never meet his bandmates. I thought we would meet like his bandmates in this movie or something. We never talk to them. We never see them. It's kind of weird to me that they wouldn't be at the funeral or have care about him. I don't know. It was a gnat. There was a gnat, chat. Did that strike anyone as weird? That just struck me as a little weird to me. Anyway, idea Tony Todd's Mr. X. That would be really cool. Probably be a non-speaking role, but I can see that. We've got the physicality for it. And then Sarah, she wakes up in the morning, chat, and there's Mom, who's no longer filled with the droogs anymore. She's just there preparing breakfast for Sarah, the first time in probably a very long time. And she's like, I don't know how to be a mom. I made you eggs. How do you like them, Sarah? She's like, I don't like you, Mom. Mom's like, oh, forget it. I'm a terrible mother. He's like, no, I love you. I like my eggs over easy. So now we know that the relationship between Sarah and her mom, it's getting better, Chad, until the mom's back on the droogs again, which could happen the next day. We don't fucking know. We'll see. Maybe the crow helped her enough where she won't go back in the droogs, and she'll be a good mother, and her and Sarah can have a good life, a quality life, and establish a loving relationship. We don't know. Meanwhile, chat, we cut back to the two surviving members of the gang that killed Shelly and Eric. I don't know their names at the top of my head. One's name is Skank, because they say his name repeatedly. And I think the other one, is it T-Bird? I'm going to say it's T-Bird, chat. I believe it's T-Bird. And so it's like, okay, we got to go ahead and prepare for Devil's Night. We're going to burn down all these homes. So go, Skank, go in the convenience store, get me some cigarettes and some, as they call in the film chat, driving beer. I didn't know that was a thing. Driving beer. And so Skank, he's fucking dumb, Chad, as hell. There's not much up there. He goes in there, just starts eating all the potato chips that he possibly can get. But then, Chad the Crow, he's in the back of T-Bird's car. And he's like, oh, listen, man, I want you to start driving right now. You got to go to this spot. He's like, don't hurt me, man. And so they go ahead and they start driving. Skanky comes out, going right again, just a fucking mushmouth, Chad. He's like, where are you going? I don't know if he got hit in the face as a child or something, or is this filled with tobacco? Like, he definitely has chewing tobacco in there. He's also eating chips at the same time. Fucking gross. Ew. But not, no, this sounds like a turd. You just look at Skank. He's like, you smell really bad. I can smell you through my screen right now. This is not pleasant. He goes after him, Chad. He runs out in the middle of the street, gets hit by a fucking car. Guy comes like, why'd you hit my car, man? Technically, you hit him, but sure, well, fair enough. Skank beats the shit out of the guy. He takes the car. Now we got to chase, Chad. And so we got T-Bird. He's driving off, and the cops, they see him. You're going way over the speed limit, sir, in downtown Detroit. Keep it at an even 40. You're going at least 100. They chase after T-Bird, Chat. Skank, he's right behind him. So it's a pretty cool little chase sequence. Again, very reminiscent of Tim Burton's Batman in terms of how everything aesthetically looks, which I didn't mind. I mean, steal from the best of it. At the time of this movie, Chat, kind of the pinnacle of superhero films was the 1989 Batman film. So I was like, okay, I understand what you're doing here. That's totally fine with me. Eventually, they get to weaving and waving, and they kind of get all mixed up. Skanky loses him, Chat. Then he thinks he's found T-Bird. He's like, I'm coming for you. But then he fucking crashes right into the cops. I think the cops die here because you see their oh shit, what are they called? God damn it. The bags, the airbags go off, and you see like blood hit like from their heads on the airbags. I'm like, ooh, shit. And like Skank, he goes right through the fucking windshield, but he's still alive, and he fucking, hobbles off towards T-Bird and the Crow. Meanwhile, we cut back to T-Bird and the Crow, and T-Bird, he's just telling him everything. Yeah, I remember you, but you're dead, man. We killed your girl, but we killed you too. But it's like, oh shit. And he's duct taped him to his car, and he's like, has all of his explosives in the back for committing all of his arson crimes, Chat. And he's like, all right, man, see you the fuck later. He just sets that in the drive, Chat, puts a little explosive, like a grenade, right there in his like crotch fucking level, and then Skanks is watching the far, like T-Bird, and then T-Bird just fucking pitches off the goddamn dock, Chat, explodes midair, and now he's in the Lake Michigan. That's where it is. That's the lake next to Detroit. And so it's like, fuck. So Skank is the last one. So he goes back to what's his name? Top Dollar, tells him all this. Top Dollar's just kind of amused by him. He's so fucking ridiculous, so over the top. He's like, okay, we got to get the Crow here. This is the, we're going to use you as bait, basically. The Asian witch somehow figures out the fact that, yeah, his magic is connected to the Crow. So if you possess the Crow or you kill the Crow, you also get his immortality powers. And he's like, so let's fucking do it. Okay, let's bring him here. Meanwhile, let's set up the meeting for Devil's Night. Let's get all my gang members in here so we can burn down Detroit. And it's like, okay, now things are at stake at this point, chat. At one point, I believe the Crow goes back to Detective Winston's house, because he needs to obtain some more information about Sarah, like what was her final night like. He learns from Winston that he stayed with her the entire 30 hours that she was in a hospital doing operations on her, but they just couldn't save her life. He experiences this by touching Winston's head, and he gets all that pain at once, Chad. It's almost overwhelms him, but he's strong enough to do it. And he says, thank you to Winston. I'm going to take down these sons of bitches. You want to help me? You can. And then the Crow, he goes to Top Dollar's headquarters, chat, where he's having his meeting. And Top Dollar says, I'm kind of bored of just burning down Detroit, you know. I don't want to do it anymore. And then this guy's complaining. It's like, let's do it. And then Top Dollar says, you know what? Let's fucking do it. It's like, that was a weird conversation. Went from not wanting to do it to then wanting to do it. Okay, maybe he just wants to placate his people. But then, chat, the Crow, it flies in. Not the Crow, but the Crow who resurrected the Crow. It flies in there. Fucking Skanky's having a goddamn panic attack. And he's like, oh, the Crow's here. And the Crow, he reveals himself. And he just, like, cool move. This felt very Joker, like Heath Ledger's Joker-esque. Where, because on the opposite end of the table, you have Top Dollar on the opposite end. And you think, oh, he's just going to sit down there right there. But, he grabs a chair, throws it, and then sits cross-legged on top of the table like this. I'm like, that was really cool. That felt like a very Heath Ledger Joker-esque thing. That's what I'm thinking. Did Heath Ledger take a note from this movie? It just feels like he did. Mike, thank you for the 100 bitty donation. Fun fact, the guy who plays the Top Dollar also does the voice of Death the Duchess. Yes, we talked about that earlier, man. Yeah, good for him. Working actor. I have a lot of admiration for those guys. Details you remember are kind of mind-boggling. I'm trying to remember as much of the details as I possibly can, man. It's fun, though. So, Top Dollar goes, oh, you're here. All right, everyone just shoot him. And they just fucking, go into him, chat. Hot lead just hitting his body. He falls off the table. And they have this one schmuck that kind of, like, wanders over. He's like, where'd he go? And gets fucking shot in his face. Like, fucking blood, viscera, and skull just, all blasted out. And everyone's like, oh, my God, he's still alive. And then from underneath the table, the Crow, he's just shooting. He's banging. And everyone just pulls out his guns. And then he starts blasting. He's blasting everyone, chat. And Top Dollar's like, oh, shit, maybe I should just leave. And so he gets the hell out of there of Tony Todd and the Asian Witch. And then we get a really cool shootout action scene, chat. I have to admit, like, the choreography was on fucking point. I mean, it's hyper stylized, but it works with what the movie's going for. And so he's just blasting everybody. He's getting blasted. It's like a John Wick scene, except, and I don't mean it in a negative way by saying this, but not as well choreographed, But overall, it was very enjoyable. He fucking finds Skank. Skank tries, like, you killed Skank over there. He's like, oh, no, I'm going to throw you over there. He throws him out the fucking window, Chad, lands into the nightclub area. Everyone's fucking panicking. The band starts panicking, and it's like, damn. All right, and he's done. He's killed all the guys, but we cut back to Top Dollar in his car. He's like, well, I lost my nightclub. And the Asian Witch says, no, don't worry about it. Just get the Crow, and you can have immortality. And then he's like, sounds good, but we gotta get the girl. It's like, what girl are they talking about? Sarah, Chad. They need to get Sarah eventually. And so they're just gonna be watching the Crow for a little while until he fucks up. Meanwhile, Chad, the Crow, he goes, I think Detective Winston, he goes to the nightclub and he's like, oh, this is bad. And the other cops, they show up there too. And it's like, you're on suspension, Detective Winston, because of your actions. We don't want you at these crime scenes for whatever reason. I think, because he reopened the file when he wasn't supposed to of Eric Draven and Shelley's murder. So that's what it was. So he's like, forget you. I'm going to go find Eric Draven. And then we find Eric Draven, chat. He's wandering back to the graveyard. Like his time on this earth is done. He's sought revenge. And he can rest now. But then, chat, before he do that, he finds Sarah at the grave of Shelley, and they have a very nice heart-to-heart. It's a good conversation, chat. He gives Sarah the ring he gave to Shelley. It's like, to remember us by, to remember Shelley so she lives on within you. It's very, very lovely. Shelley, they hug, then they go off, and the Crow, he's just about to go return to the earth from whence he came. But, chat, while Sarah, she's leaving the graveyard, she's kidnapped by the Candyman. He goes, and he takes her. And they drag her to the church, chat, where she's then introduced to Top Dollar and the Asian Witch lady. And he takes the ring from her. He's like, yes, I remember this ring. He's like, why does he remember the ring, chat? Well, we're going to find out. So, the Crow, he's just about to return I don't know what death. He's about to turn to death, chat, I guess. But his little Crow guy sees that they took Sarah, that Candyman took Sarah. He goes, he wakes up, chat, and he goes straight for the fucking church. And now he walks in, and he confronts Top Dollar for the first time. Really, I mean, I guess this is the first time they're actually having a natural conversation, because the last time they met, it was only like for a couple minutes. Not even a minute. He just saw him kill him, and he couldn't do it. So they'll probably have that conversation chat, and like, the Crow just lays it out there. He says, listen, I'll let you walk out of here if you just give me Sarah, and so you can live. And Top Dog's like, oh man, you took everything away from me. Fuck that. So I'm gonna use my samurai sword and fight you. And so they start fighting, chat. They start wrestling. At one point, Tony Todd, because they realize we gotta kill the Crow in order to make him mortal. So Tony Todd, he lines up the fucking shot. He's got this cool ass sniper rifle, blasts the Crow, but the Crow's not dead. But because the Crow is now kind of messed up, the Crow, Eric Draven Crow, he's no longer immortal. So when Top Dollar shoots him, gets shot in the goddamn shoulder, he actually feels it for the first time. He's like, oh, this isn't good. And he's like, oh, this might be the end of the Crow and also Crow. But then in walks in. All right. So, guys, where I leave it? Oh, yeah. So out walks in, or, in walks fucking Winston from Ghostbusters. He's there, Chad. And he starts blasting. He starts blasting Tony Todd and Candyman. He gets killed, Chad. The Candyman has been taken out. And so then he goes over and he helps, what's his name? The Crow. Eric Draven, Chad, he drags him over and he says, like, I'm no longer immortal. He's like, well, that's not fucking good. And we gotta come up with a plan. Meanwhile, the Asian Witch and Top Dollar, they got Sarah, Chat, and they go up into the bell tower, which I'm getting. Okay, I get it. This is Batman 1989. I see what you're doing here. So they take Sarah up there, and then, don't worry, the Crow, I'm gonna take these sons of bitches out. And then Winston, he goes up there, Chad, he gets fucking blasted by the Asian Witch. He's like, well, I'm done. And so the Crow's like, don't worry, man, I'll handle it. And the Asian Witch, Chad, she has the Crow in her arm right now. Not the Crow, but the Crow. And she's like, listen, I can kill this son of a bitch. We can get all your power. He's like, nah, you're not going to get my power. And the Crow just fucking freaks out and starts pecking out her eyeballs, Chad. And this is appropriate because she's kind of obsessed with eyes. And she's just always plucking out the eyes of, like, all of her victims throughout the movie. He's like, it's kind of fucked up. And now she got her eyes plucked out by the Crow. And then she falls down, Chad, hits the goddamn floor of the stone church, dead. So the only one left at this point is Top Dollar. And good old Eric Draven, he goes up there. He has Sarah. And, he tells him, hey, let her go. Very poor choice of words. And he just fucking drops her. He's like, no! But it's okay, check it. She can hang on. The church is all dilapidated, so he managed to find a nice, good 2x4 wooden beam. And then Eric Draven and Top Dollar, they just start wrestling, Chad. They start fighting on there. Top Dollar, he's got his samurai sword. He's just slicing at him. Eventually, Eric Draven, he gets, like a church topper. I don't know how you describe it, Chad, but it's like a little wire metal topper, and he starts using it as a sword, so they have a nice little sword battle. Very awkward sword battle, but we'll go with it. Eventually, though, Top Dollar, he just gets one good swipe in on the Crow, Chad, and he's like, bah, and the Crow kind of falls down. And Top Dollar's like, hey, man, listen, you were a lot of fucking trouble, but I don't really hate you. I actually appreciate you for, doing this for me, man. I haven't had a challenging year, so thank you. Also, I was the one behind the murder of your girlfriend because I sent those 4 guys to evict your girlfriend so I can make money off the apartment burning now. Don't need some unnecessary deaths. Like, we don't need it. But yeah, it was me. Sorry about that. And the Crow just fucking, he freaks out and he grabs onto the head of Top Dollar, Chat, and he then wills all of the pain that Sarah felt, or Shelly felt, for those 30 hours that she was on the operating table into the head of Top Dollar all at once. And he just goes, blah, his eyes is popping and blood is shooting out of his mouth. And he falls off the side of the church shed and is then impaled on a gargoyle. And all the blood comes out of the gargoyle's mouth. And Top Dollar is now dead. His criminal enterprise is taken out. Eric Draven, he goes ahead and rescues Sarah. They start hugging. They go back downstairs and check on good old Winston, Chad. He's doing okay. Eventually, the paramedics and the cops show up. They got Winston in the stretcher. He'd be like, I'm going to be all right. Don't worry about me. And then, Chad, we cut back to... we cut back to the graveyard where the Crow, he's just about to die, Chad. He's just about to leave this earth. But then out walks Shelly. She's there to take him on to the next life. They start smooching. It's very nice. Sarah, she wanders back into the graveyard. But all that's left there is the Crow, Chad. Not the Eric Draven Crow, but just the Crow. And the Crow gives her the ring that was supposed to be given to Shelly. She takes it, she says thanks, and she wanders out, gives a nice little narration that you always remember the people you love because they'll live on forever. And that's the Crow. And I'll tell you right now, Chad, some aspects of it are obviously dated. I think the villains are almost too over the top to a certain extent, but very enjoyable film. I really like the overall aesthetic. It certainly fit for the 90s at the time, for the grunge and punk rock community, the goth community. I could see why, those people are just so obsessed with this film, and it works for the most part. Brandon Lee does a very good job playing a superhero, a goth superhero, and honestly, there's some fun action sequences. It's well directed for the most part. There are some decent performances. Some work better than others. But overall, I'd give it a high matinee, Chad. I'd give it a very high matinee.